Hi, welcome to this video where I am going to be showing you how I make my cover for my kids journal with drawing space. This video is part of a playlist where I have taken you through from conception idea of the journal right through to the upload with all of the stages in between, just to kind of help you and give you a full breakdown if you're a newbie or if you just want to see somebody else's technique on how they're doing things. So in this video we're going to be using Canva to create the cover. I'm very happy using Canva. I like to fiddle about in there, spend some time. I also do sometimes use paint.net if I want to create something that I can't do inside Canva. I do have that option and I have used that for some of my covers. But today obviously I want to keep things fairly simple. Making these videos too long just means people get very bored or they get overcomplicated, and so I want to keep things fairly simple. Now I've just filmed making the cover and it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes. Obviously that would be the most boring video in the world, so I will be speeding it up a little bit and just showing you the kind of main basics of what I did. The main thing for me is to not use Canva fonts on the covers of my books because I think there are just too many Canva fonts out there, and you really do want to choose something that's going to stand out slightly. So I've got 2 fonts on this cover and neither of those are from Canva. They are both from Creative Fabrica. So if you want to know more about that, have a look. Their link is in my description down below. A couple of videos ago in this series, I talked about bleed and no bleed, or bleed and with bleed, what that is, when that's used, when that's applicable, and how that works. With the covers, they're always going to have bleed, so you're always going to expect there to be a small trimmed amount of your document taken away. So that's why we use the cover calculator. I've also made a video about that as well. With the interior, you choose. So do you want to have it bleed or no bleed? If you don't know, then please go back and watch the video that's further back in this playlist. But let's jump into Canva today and have a look at how I'm going to make the cover. So we created the cover template in a previous video, which is in this playlist. So now we've brought that into Canva and we have created a document with the template in it. So the first thing I always do is just duplicate that page. So now I've got the template on its own page and I know where it is, and it's there for when I want it later. So obviously when it comes to design and making your cover, you can take inspiration from other books that are doing well or not doing well. You know, it doesn't mean that they're not doing well because they aren't good covers. It might be that they're not doing well because they're just in a really, really competitive niche and they don't have a budget for ads, for example. It's not always the case that the best covers win, but of course, most of the time, the better covers are going to surface to the top of Amazon. So you can look and you can get inspiration from other books. You can also have a look out in real bookshops and find ideas there. You might find ideas there of things that aren't actually on Amazon, so you might be able to find a little way in that way. For me, I kind of just go for it. I will sometimes make 3 or 4 different covers with different ideas that I have. So then I can actually put them next to each other at the end and pick my favourite. It really depends how much time and effort I'm putting into a book and how important it is to me. Some of my books that I've made recently they've taken weeks and weeks and weeks to create, and they have got they're medium content, they've got full content where every page is different. This is an example of a kid's journal where every page is going to be the same, and I wouldn't expect this cover to take me weeks and weeks and weeks to design. So you can see here that I am just starting to add elements and create a gradient for the background, which is something that I talked about in another video. It's a new feature of Canva's update that you can create gradients, which is brilliant because it gives your cover some depth and gives it an edge of professionalism, I believe. But I had an idea in my mind of what I wanted to create, which was to showcase what the draw and write page would look like on the front cover and on the back cover. And I wanted to use a kind of kids handwriting font, which I don't believe you can get inside Canva, though I didn't spend a long time looking. As I said just a minute ago, I like to choose fonts from Creative Fabrica because they are different to Canva fonts. So I wanted to use that as the sort of kids writing on my page. Obviously I know the theme, I know the demographic, I know all of that because the book's created and I've done my research. So I know what age range this child's going to be, and so now it's just a case of trying to produce a cover that looks good, it's going to catch the eye, it's got big bold writing. You don't want too much writing on your covers, it just gets lost and it's a little bit confusing. I think the more simple, when it comes to fonts and text, the more simple and clear that you can be, the better. Quite often when we're working on our own covers, we're so zoomed in, we're so zoomed in on just what that looks like, but you've got to keep in mind that this is going to be a tiny little icon on a screen. So people shop on mobile and there might be 3 or 4 books on the screen at the same time. So to get your cover to stand out and to be very clear what its intention is, what its theme is, who it's aimed at, and what it says, what the lettering says, is very important. So think about that when you're creating your cover. Think about that clarity and that message that you want to get across. Another one of Canva's new-ish features is the draw element, and I thought, well, this is a perfect book cover to actually have a go at that. I've never used the draw element before, only when I was making a video discussing how their new updates. So I did a little drawing in my cover to demonstrate how this page might be used, and I'm quite pleased with how that looks. Obviously it's supposed to be a kid's drawing, so I could just be quick and messy and very simplistic with it, but that's exactly the point. So hopefully that message is coming across as well. I've added some different details to the back cover. Sometimes it's difficult to know what to put on the back cover, especially of a low content book. It's a little bit tricky sometimes to think what would look good here. And sometimes you don't need anything at all. Maybe just sometimes you need a couple of the elements repeated just so it's got some sort of congruency and a bit of a theme running over the cover. Sometimes you can put some writing on the back cover, a little bit of a description of the book. That can be a good idea. If it's something that's for adults, then maybe a little description on the back cover of how the book is used or intended to be used. In this example, I thought I would put the interior page once again and just demonstrate how it might look if a child had written on it. Again, I got this cool handwriting font from Creative Fabrica, which works quite nicely, I think. So one of the final things that I'm going to do is just move that template back over my design. I've always kind of got it in my mind anyway, where the template is and where the sort of the red areas are that you don't want to put anything too important. But I'll put the template back over, reduce the transparency of that so that I can see where my elements fall on the template. And that's when I noticed that actually my little on the corner of my page actually would be covered by the barcode. So that made me move that up slightly, those few elements up on the back page, just so that it wouldn't get covered, because it just, it doesn't need to be. So that's something that I altered at the last minute. This is the end design. This is what we've turned up with and ended up with, and I don't hate it. I don't think it's the best thing in the world, but it's going to be great for this exact example video and this video series. So now we have our finished cover. You might love it, you might hate it. Obviously design is very, very personal as to what people enjoy, what people would find attractive and what people would buy, and that's why all different kinds of things do work on KDP. But now we're going to upload the cover. So we're going to upload the cover and the interior, and I'll show you that entire process in the next video.